And well, as one journey ends, so this is the last episode of the last season of the entire series, the series finale, if you will, of Star Trek Discovery. Let's get into it. I tell you what, it's been a journey, man. Before we get into all this, do me a big favor, comment below. Tell me if you, because obviously this is the end of the series, but now I kind of feel like I missed opportunities, and I think I want to go around and maybe start at season 1 and watch it from week to week and see what comes up and how it looks. But give me your thoughts if you'd love to see me review the first 3 seasons real time. I've done series overview reviews and whatnot in the past with some know-it-all files and whatnot, but I really feel like now that I have these new eyes, the show's ending before I even had an opportunity to really begin to enjoy it for its fullness, like I do now with the eyes I have now. So, all right, but otherwise, let's talk about the episode. The episode's called Life Itself, and it's literally the end of the journey that they started at the beginning of the season. There's breeding encounters and fights and the whole 9 yards. It's all these things. You get to see Action Saru one more time, flexing his diplomatic muscle, if you will, on Tahal, who we never ever actually get to see. So it's sort of a nothing burger character, other than the fact that they were name dropped by Rayner earlier in the season. Part of my issue with and by the way, fine ending. I feel like, there was even a coda, a time jump at the end. I mean, I could talk about the episode itself. The episode's fine. It's what it is. Burnham meets the progenitors, and here I thought they were going to go somewhere along the lines of like Cisco from Deep Space Nine and have some form of, hey, we're going, she's going to now stay and be the new steward and the whole bit and whatever else. I loved the progenitor work area where you have all the different portals, all the different places that they've seeded. The progenitor itself is a black progenitor, for lack of a better way to put it. The conclusion Burnham comes to is that they have this technology doesn't belong in the hands of any one person or species and whatnot, and the reason for it has been the universe is seeded. She invokes infinite diversity and infinite combinations because there's so many species out there and stuff, and I get it. So she ends up deciding to destroy the technology, and the conceit is if the species that created it, because you find out the progenitors didn't create this technology apparently, and it feels like a classic idea of someone writing something, but they don't want to write it into a box. They don't want to close off that particular loop fully. So what they do is they give us this opening, but they give us this conversation between the progenitor and Burnham, where in essence you find out this technology existed here. And they found it, and thus used it to seed life. In a galaxy or universe where there was no other life, they made more. And so, yeah, and I'm not going to say anticlimactic, especially because I don't know why, but I never once really was concerned for the stakes. I was never worried for Burnham and them. And maybe that's because we know Star Trek. And then of course, and literally the show does all the things that Star Trek does. It does a victory lap on the way only Star Trek can. In that we get the time jump at the very end. Well, one, Saru and Tarina got married. Yay. Wonderful, beautiful wedding. Burnham and Book got back together, finally, officially. Yay. And then we get a time jump. Well, that's a lie. You find out she's going to start working for Kovac, and you find out Kovac is actually a code name for Agent Daniels. That's right, Agent Daniels, the time agent from the future, from the USS Enterprise in the future. It's great. And so something I predicted online, if you follow me on X, Twitter, whatever, I was talking to some people who were like, who do you think Kovac is, this and that? And I said, I think he's a time traveler. I think he's a survivor from the Time War, and his job is to help just maintain and keep things moving forward to avoid another time war. But he's part of, yet outside of Starfleet's normal function and stuff. So because obviously after the time war prevents anybody from going back in time or doing time travel. So what happens is he's still ultimately running things in that way. So we know that Burnham goes to work for him eventually because she has a little infinity, not a comm badge, but the ability to communicate with. Anyway, yeah. So again, it's not. Nothing feels earned for me. I loved the ending. It was a stereotypically classic Star Trek ending. Because right after that, you see you jump to the future and you see Book and Burnham as older folks. Burnham's an admiral because every captain becomes an admiral eventually, and they have a son who comes to pick her up to go on her final mission. Her final mission is to board Discovery with Zora, and they're going to go, and she's going to take her to some place. It's a red directive also, so it's all classified and stuff. And Burnham is going to take Discovery someplace in space where Discovery will wait. For what? Another ship, something that she'll know. But at the end of the day, Discovery's being set free, but on a mission. And so you get to see Discovery has the name on the ship and the whole bit. And it's this, again, it's all of the trappings of Star Trek, but none of earning it. And I think part of that has to do with something that happened this week in terms of how my thinking works, which is the statistic came out that Discovery is technically the longest running Star Trek series, but with the fewest episodes. I feel like that makes sense to me. That makes a lot of sense. In that we don't have the time, that's why it doesn't feel earned to me. We didn't get the time with this crew, with these people, long enough to really feel that this ending feels like it should. Yes, it was great seeing everybody hug and the whole bit, but it means so much more after, like all good things for TNG, the card playing scene meant more because of the time. Picard Season 3 meant more because of the time. Because the time put in, the work and time that TNG did informed our love. And don't get me wrong, I've become a big fan of Discovery. But I feel like they're trying to give us this nice, neat bow that didn't feel earned, which is sad because Discovery, I feel like, has been a good show. And I feel like it blazed a lot of trails and it did a lot of things, and it definitely inspired all the new Star Trek that's out there. It deserves its place in the history and the lexicon of Star Trek for sure. So yeah, there you go. Now you know. And if knowing half the battle, you're half to being knowing yourself. I don't know what all these things mean. I don't know what any of them mean. This episode itself it felt like an ending, but I felt like we rushed a lot of things. And I don't necessarily know that I agree with the creative choice to have Burnham kind of wipe away whatever, because it sort of makes everything that happened, no matter how highfalutin her reasoning were, was a little, I don't know. It felt off. Overall, I'm going to give this episode of Discovery an 8.5. So, now, what is the season review? The season score. The analytics for the entire season for me. This was a middling season. I think because we knew the ending is there, the stakes weren't as high. Because I was kind of half expecting someone to get lost. Even like Maul gets saved and whatever. Overall, I'm gonna give this season a solid 8. Comment below. Let me know what you think. Did I get it right? Should I restart episode 1, season 1, and review all of these? Let me know. I would love to talk a little bit more about it and see sort of what your ideas are. Because I feel like I just converted and came into an understanding of what the show is supposed to be, and now it's gone. So would absolutely love your thoughts on that. And yeah, I'd love to talk more about that. Do me a favor. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. This is the playlist for the entire, for this season if you missed any episode. And that's last week's episode if you want to get caught up before this one. And of course, you can always subscribe. All right, guys, I'll talk to you again next week. Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all.